Okay, so I uploaded a sticker to ask questions on Instagram on my stories. So we'll go through what popped up. Like I said, it's going to be on my YouTube, not the Instagram. So we'll get right into it. Um, so this guy, his resting glucose came back flagged high at 101. Uh, so I suspected that I'm insulin resistant since my glucose came back at 101. But the comment the doctor put on the lab was the levels are stable, though I assume even within range that the high end is probably not ideal. I took the blood test after fasting for about 14 hours. Any input on this is much appreciated. Yeah, man, I don't like to ever have a fasting glucose to be over 90. I mean, I prefer it to be like 75 to 80. Anything more, in my opinion, I mean, why, I mean, even lower, like 70, because mine comes back at like 60, and I'm totally fine with it. But if we're talking about people that are improving blood work or improving diet and trying to get off body fat and or building muscle, and this is kind of like and you're not really used to like the lower blood sugar feels, um, again, like I would rather see it like in the 70s. Like, why would your body be needing to get rid of that? Uh, why would it have glucose in it, right? So like something is spilling out glucose into your bloodstream, whether that be from cortisol spike in the morning. I'm not sure when you took your blood test, or just a very insufficient pancreas. And but yeah, I mean, I would just say your doctor's wrong in my opinion on this one. If you go to like a sports medicine doctor, he'll definitely say that that's, or a sports nutritionist, that that's high. So you can go a few different routes. You can look at your diet. So like, what are you eating before you go to bed? You can kind of rearrange your carb intake around your workouts, morning and around your workouts, and then have less carbs at night before you go to bed. Um, that's usually the first step. And then you can look into herbal supplements. Uh, well, let me go back. Like you could also be releasing this glucose through like cortisol response if you've had like a very really intense workout the previous day, like toward the evening, and it could kind of spill over into this, and it could pop up as like it's like a false positive. But when it goes to like supplements, I mean, you have berberine and dihydroberberine. So if you're going to use berberine HCl, I would say pair it up with sodium caprate to help with the absorption of it. But it is antimicrobial, so like it does alter gut bacteria. So be careful on that. It's not high enough for you to be on metformin. You can also look into things like fish oil, RALA, like so alpha-lipoic acid, but R is bioactive, so less conversion your body needs to do. Um, but I mean, those two, in my opinion, would be more beneficial for you. Um, but yeah, if you don't need to take, if you can just change it with your diet, like your eating schedule, that'd be the route to go, in my opinion. And then if you are really overweight and you're making these steps to come down um, and lose some body fat, you even have things like retatrutide that uh, is a three-step GLP-1. So that one really, really good as far as like balancing out blood glucose levels without having any negative impact is what I'm seeing so far in myself and in others. All right. Um, so this person, due to my sleep and work schedule, I never have had time for cold showers in the morning. I know it's meant to help you feel refreshed, awake, and has other benefits. My showers at night or before bed. Is there any major reason for arguing a hot or cold shower would be preferred? Uh, no, I'm not the biggest fan in like the cold baths or ice baths. It's been around for a very long time. Although we, it was I mean, shoot, for like what baseball players, football players, they would do it like in the 70s, 60s. I mean, it's not something that's new. Um, the science is probably coming out now more of like saying, oh, like it can help with your adrenal system. And I find it that it impedes muscle growth if it's too close to your workout. I don't find it refreshing in the morning because your cortisol is already being spiked in the morning to wake you up. Why do you need a cold shower? A lot of people do it like they get that like the adrenaline response, the adrenaline and noradrenaline. Um, and do you need that in the morning to wake up? I mean, I don't think that that's beneficial for you to reschedule your life or your morning to make that happen, or buy a $5,000 cold plunge. I just think that people have gotten into a habit and they like that epinephrine response to it, and it's just some it's that person's energy drink. It's that person's coffee in the morning. So we'll see, what it does for their joint pain. Maybe that like they have arthritis or they have some just lingering joint pain. Again, I don't think that it's a benefit for your joints in that circumstance. Acutely, yes, but chronically, no. You got to figure out what's going on with your joints, whether that's just arthritis or autoimmune problems, so you have RA, or you know, mechanical tension on your joints through lifting too heavy or too intensely for a long period of time. I mean, so like acutely, if you have a post game, it's like a baseball player, a pitcher, they put ice on the shoulder, right? I mean, you can submerge your body in the water, but in my opinion, you just got through a lot of physical activity, so you wouldn't submerge the person into an ice bath because now you're impeding on the muscle signaling. So the mechanisms of physiology, the mechanisms of nutrition, of PED use, uh, of training, it's the mechanisms that really matter because all these studies out there that you read, they're not done on these, people that are taking specific anabolics or these people that are in the gym. They're just taken from people who are willingly able to be participants in the study. Some of them paid, some of them unpaid. Some of them are just college students and they have time to do it and maybe they get some sort of incentive like food. I know at UF that was a lot of the incentives was like, hey, you get a gift card. And that's not listed in the abstract or within the the uh, the study. So there might be an incentive for that person to do the study and they're just some average person, so it's not you, right? So um, I'm more interested in the mechanics of things. And for the mechanics of cold plunge, or cold showers, I know it's not as cold as a cold plunge, but again, you're just stimulating epinephrine, norepinephrine, or if you want to use the word adrenaline, noradrenaline, same thing. Uh, epinephrine and adrenaline, same thing. Um, you're just getting some sort of response from your body just to wake you up. And if you like it, you like it. I just don't think that it's any better than touching grass, getting sun on your face first thing in the morning or seeing the sunrise. Um, so can I have fats post workout? I heard that it's not good because it slows down digestion and there's an anabolic window. I don't know who you Um, anabolic window is a myth. It's like hours and hours and hours post workout, even the next day. It does get shorter, like the effects of the anabolic window of like glucose uptake uh, does get weaker as the hours linger. And if you're natural, I would say you have kind of a longer window and your reason for lifting weights. If we're trying to build muscle, yeah, I mean, I would eat as soon as you are able to eat after working out. Like for me, I don't like eating right after workout solid food because I feel sick, but I'll do a shake, something liquid with carbs and protein. Um, But if you're on anabolic steroids, I mean, that to me, just anecdotally, the anabolic window is a little bit more real. Not that 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but within like 2 hours, I would say max, just to really get all the benefits for glycogen retention. So pretty much, should I get rid of fats because I do eat steak or avocado, and then just go to a shake after training, and then wait about an hour after to have dinner and fats? Is that okay? Yeah, man. I mean, if you're working out in the evening, yes, shake, protein, carbs, boom, hit it. Or you can have protein and like do uh, plain Rice Krispies or the plain Chex cereal or crisp or whatever is a rice-based cereal, um, with zero fat pretty much, or zero point 0.5 grams of fat, and then you can you can pour your protein shake, water and protein shake in there as the milk. Boom, there you go. And then later on for your dinner, you can have fats and protein, which can stabilize blood sugars as you go to sleep, so you don't have any like night sweats or you're pumping out insulin while you're asleep. Um, so yeah. Um, it goes on to ask, what's your favorite sugar to eat after lifting? With the powders, man, um, uh, cyclodextrin, so HBCD is going to be my go-to. And if you want something else besides that, like I was just saying, the Rice Krispies, or I don't know if the Rice Krispies, right? Yeah, Rice Krispies. Whatever that freaking, whatever you make Rice Krispie treats out of, that cereal, right? Um, Plain or chocolate if you need a little bit of extra sugar, but it also adds a little bit of extra fat. So I just prefer plain and then flavor it with my protein shake. Um, or just white rice, man. I mean, it's not hard to digest white rice or even cream of rice, and you don't have to buy all this expensive stuff. You can process the food processor, dry, uncooked white rice, and then get it down to sand pretty much. And then boom, you have cream of rice. So that's what I would do. So that's my favorite. I'm not a big fan of like candy because a lot of it's high fructose corn syrup. It's like, or I mean, you'd have to find an expensive candy that just uses glucose, right? I just, it really depends on how many carbs are allowed in your day. And do you like the candy stuff? I'm not a big sweets person, so I really don't like it. But there are people that I need to get them to have a lot of carbs in, like 700 to 1,000 grams of carbs a day, uh, for their high days. And like that's how we're going to do it. We're going to do a sugar stuff. And so like the glucose and no high fructose corn syrup gummy bears or gummy worms, like those brands, that's what I would stick with. Even like honey on rice cakes. I mean, honey is a complex sugar, so it's not as simple as people say. All right. Let's see, which one do I want to answer next? Okay. This person, this lady, is asking Anavar versus Ostarine. So there's a lot of big talk going around still about Anavar being a fat loss drug. I don't know where that came from. It's not. Anabolics are not fat burners. They build muscle. They can increase metabolism through the mechanisms of the drug itself, but Anavar is good with skin and connective tissue, so that collagen synthesis, it's really good with that. That's why we give it to burn victims. Ostarine, on the other hand, it's really good with like bone growth and bone density. So you'll see people who have osteopenia and osteoporosis be on really, really low doses of Ostarine. But that's usually IV is what they'll do. And I don't even know if they do that anymore. That was back in like when they first started coming out, and then everyone started getting the pills. But Ostarine puts on more water weight than Anavar, and also Ostarine again makes your bones denser, so you will end up weighing more because of the bone density, depending on how long you are on the Ostarine. Now, both will mess up hormones, even if Ostarine is a SARM. even if it's a selective androgen receptor. Again, you're now adding a variable to the mechanism of ostarine, where these drugs in clinical setting, they're used for a specific purpose. But now if you're adding a variable of, hey, my body just had mechanical tension and load on it, and now it's trying to build muscles, trying to build bones, trying to build fat, because again, anabolism, you're adding in a variable that's unknown and you won't find in studies because you are not patient X or patient Y. You are you. So that does come with the cost of uh, impeding your fertility, um, increasing masculine-like qualities, even if it's on Anavar, right? I mean, if you're getting Anavar, if you're getting it underground, I mean, are you getting Anavar? I don't know. It's not going to be like you taking testosterone as a woman, but who's to say how your body uses Anavar? Because if your skin and your collagen, if it's not needing the anavar, their muscles are going to need the anavar. Okay, well now with the mechanisms of anabolic steroids, the androgen upregulation. So women, you don't need that many androgens to have like if you were to take a small amount of tests, you'll see a huge result because your androgen receptors are so sensitive. Um, I would just say it's up to you. If I was advising someone in your position to go like you are just dead set on it, rather than you say your coach is recommending Austrian, you can listen to your coach or you can drop them based on how you feel. You're in the wellness category and you're in a bulking phase. I mean, you can take Anavar in a bulking phase and in a cutting phase. If I was the coach, I would be more set on Anavar. There's more data that we have anecdotally from competitors, but I'm not going to tell you, hey, you need this. It's really if you're making the decision, you're like, hey, I need this, and this to grow because this is what the feedback was from the coaches. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, and I need to do whatever it takes. Okay, and then I'm going to be uh, suggesting Anavar, right? That's the route that I'd go. And then after that, it would be growth hormone. So like 3 IUs of growth hormone, maybe 4, depending on how your body handles it. But we would start off at 1 for like a week or 2 weeks, and then go up to 2 IUs for a week or 2 weeks, and then go up to 3 IUs for a week or 2 weeks. And then usually you'll handle 3 to 4 and get that nice bubbliness and to your muscles, that fullness. So up to you. This is all my opinion. This is not uh, advice. It's just for entertainment. Okay. So this person, a little background. I'm 5'10", 170, 12 to 13% body fat, 38 years old. You might be like 17% body fat to 20%. Basically, my question is, how much fat and carbs do you consume to maintain cut and bulk? Do you prefer low carb, high fat, or high carb, low fat? I was eating 4+ servings of fruit a day and 2/3 to 4/3 cup of nuts each day. Don't weigh your stuff out. Don't measure it like that. Weigh it out. Weigh it out in grams. Grams, grams, grams. Not servings, not cups. That's not how we do it. I was because you don't calculate fat loss in grams or you don't calculate fat loss in cups. You can find out how many grams of fat you'll lose based on the reduction of or the addition of grams of food into your diet, grams of calories. Um, I was feeling almost bloated some days and decided I want to change. I took out my morning cup of grapes and replaced it with 3/4 cups of rice. Took out a third cup of nuts at lunch and replaced it. Okay, it got me thinking how much fats and fruits due to sugar I consume. So pretty much you also know should he switch to like white rice and Ezekiel bread versus the other items. Um, again, first of all, you're doing it wrong as far as measuring grams. Uh, you could, I don't mind my US based people to measure their meats out in ounces cooked. But like whatever you're doing, if you're doing uncooked or cooked, if you were having success and then you come to me, we're just going to keep it the same to make it easier for you. But if you're doing cups and stuff, I'm switching you to grams for everything. Grams for the meats, grams of cooked meat, because when you cook meat, water goes out. Grams of dried rice is how I would measure it because you can change how much water you're putting into the rice maker. And so that would make the rice way heavier. So your rice would be different weights if it's cooked. So if you cooked it on Monday and you cooked it on Tuesday, 200 grams of white rice would be different each day, depending on how much water you put in there if you're just eyeballing it. So that's, I would weigh out dry white rice and then cook it. And then you know how much carbs you have in that container. I think Ezekiel bread is overpriced, and that was back in, Jay Cutler's day. You can eat whatever bread doesn't upset your stomach. And I prefer a high carb, low fat. You don't need tons of fat. Like I don't care if you're a man or a woman. You don't need as much fat as you think we do, nor as what science says. Um, you just see more issues in the long term of people who have have higher fat in their diet and who also have days of high carb with the high fat. So like I would always prefer someone to be low fat and high carb because if you're competing, we can do like a couple of days out, do a higher fat day, not a super high fat day, but a higher fat day to kind of bring out that fullness and kind of mm, mm, like make your muscles stick to your body. Um, this is a term I'd use, but there's a set amount of dietary fat that you need to maintain healthy cholesterol and hormones. And a lot of that is not going to be saturated fat. And that's usually what people end up getting is more saturated fat in their diet. So I prefer polyunsaturated or monounsaturated uh, EFAs, but the saturated fat, you really don't need that much. So especially if you're using anabolics and you're using testosterone, you're putting exogenous hormones into your body, so you don't need saturated fat even to make cholesterol. So get body fat off of you. Your body will utilize body fat, and then when you get down to a certain body fat percentage, then we can throw in a bit more fats, and we would do a carb cycling. So on the carb cycling days, it's pretty simple. You just keep it super simple for your lifestyle. You just raise the fats a little bit. We're not going from 50 grams of fat a day to 100 grams of fat a day. We're going from 50 grams of fat to 65, 70 grams of fat. So that's and this is person dependent. Sometimes you might need to go to 80 grams of fat, but I would never double my fat intake on a low carb day. You're kind of you're not getting the benefit and the reason of why we're doing a carb cycling for thyroid function and uh, for glycogen retention. So sugar or the fruits are fine. From the sugar from the fruits are fine. It's not all 100% fructose. I mean, there's a blend, and it depends on like bananas, for example, like how long are they dated. So the sugary, like the more fructose is going to be in like the brown uh, bananas, and you have less fructose and more of a prebiotic if it's more green. And then again, nuts. I don't know why you waste calories on nuts. I prefer like walnuts, almonds, macadamia nuts, pumpkin seeds. I'm fine with, but to just have like a handful or something that's kind of weird. I would just throw it in with a meal. Don't just eat don't just eat something like fatty because I'm not counting the protein in nuts. Don't have a like a handful of nuts and be like, that's my snack. You just literally consume fat and no other nutrient technically like, and how much are you even digesting and absorbing of the nuts. Like I mean, you can go and poop and you'll see some uh, nuts come out in your stool. So it's very unclear how many calories you're getting from that, and also how many of the beneficial fatty acids you're getting out of it. And it would also be determined on your gut microbiome. So, okay. So we did that one. All right. Diet on first steroid cycle. 375 milligrams of test E for 16 weeks. My goal is to bulk up to 100 kg from 85 kg. Should I eat in 1,000 calorie surplus from the beginning? Should I taper up the calories? For example, 500 first week, 1,000 third week, and so on. I wouldn't change anything. Um, you know, first of all, a don't have a set number of weeks you're going to be on a cycle because you might start feeling like crap and you might need to stop, or you might not. Your body might be able to handle it, and you might be able to taper up your test instead of sticking at 375. You might want to go up to first of all, I would start at 300, and then I'd go up to 400, and then I'd go up to 500, and see how you feel. And then you taper up. And then if you start feeling like crap or you're getting really bad side effects, you can throw in some ADAX to control gyno. And then you can even taper back down after a while and just kind of stay on it. Once you start anabolic steroids, just plan on it screwing up your life and that you have to continue HRT later on. So this is you'll be a pincushion for the rest of your life. Um, And as far as like the weight goes, I really wouldn't have a set goal for weight on the scale. That's kind of dumb because water is also weight. I would just have a maybe even like just just physique preference. So if you're like, I want to be like Sadiq Hasovitz, like, or I want to be like Nick Walker, like have goals set to where you want to be a certain way. Don't go by the scale. I mean, it's kind of dumb. But as far as your diet goes, man, whatever you're doing, just see how your body responds to your diet with the added hormones. Now, usually, or in all cases, you're going to have better partitioning and use of protein, so better protein synthesis. So your protein will go up, and I would prefer to set your protein up higher than what it is now, and low fat because you don't need fat in your diet. Like you really don't. Just enough EFAs, so get some krill oil or fish oil. Use some macadamia nut oil, but you're not using it to convert cholesterol into your hormones anymore. So just higher carbohydrates, higher protein. But I would say increase the protein first. See how your body starts handling it. Steroids are meant to make you recover better. It's not meant to turn you into a jacked bodybuilder. So you have your misconceptions about anabolics and what they do. Just because you take steroids doesn't mean you're going to grow muscle. Um, so, last question about boron helping with joint health, uh, joint pain, joint health, and all that. You know, boron, it's pretty cool. It is so it's like it's a natural celebric, so it can help reduce COX-2 receptors. Um, yeah, it might be a way to help with arthritis and osteoarthritis. Not, I wouldn't suggest that it's going to help with rheumatoid arthritis, but the boron will help with like bones and joints. Can help with the absorption of other minerals needed, so like magnesium. So taking boron with magnesium, with molybdenum, uh, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin K, all those things. You'll see a better result as far as like reducing arthritic pain. So, I mean, there's even studies, this is on NIH, but they did a double blind experiment with giving with giving 10 milligrams of boron to half the subjects and 10 milligrams of placebo. 50% of the subjects receiving the supplement improved only compared to 10% receiving the placebo. So they all had osteoarthritis. Um, so I would just say it wouldn't hurt, and it's so cheap. And so usually they sell it in 10 milligrams or 3 milligrams, so you can take 9 milligrams and be fine. But I would take it alongside with your vitamin D, vitamin K, some sort of fatty acid, so krill oil or fish oil. Again, krill oil is a phospholipid. Our body recognizes that and utilizes it better. Um, Taken with magnesium. And then the form of magnesium, I mean, you can do magnesium malate is a good one. Glycinate. Sometimes people are really sensitive to the glycine, or you can just use any type of chelated of magnesium and try to get like 400 to 600 elemental milligrams of magnesium. So, all right, I think that's it for today. Thank you for responding to these questions, to my DMs, and I'll bring out another video later on. Thank you.